Hi, I'm Harold, the Smiling Scotsman. And in the tradition of Paul Harvey and his recording of If I Were the Devil, I present to you now my recording of If I Were the Sheriff. If I were the sheriff. If I were the sheriff of Douglas County, I'd put an end to police corruption. I wouldn't allow police officers to bully people in my county, because if they did, they'd find themselves in jail with the thugs they'd arrested the day before. Just think about it. Wouldn't that be a hoot? Cops in jail where they belong. You know, I kind of like that idea. If I were the sheriff of Douglas County, I'd take a zero-tolerance policy for police abuse of our citizens and our laws. If a cop ever harassed one of our citizens for exercising their rights under the Second Amendment, notice I didn't say privileges, I'd arrest the officer for treason, and if the judge refused to keep the officer in jail, I'd arrest the judge for treason as well. Treason against our beloved Constitution that they swore an oath to obey and to protect the rights of our people. Excuse me. If I were the sheriff, I'd put the pawn shops and gun dealers in this county on notice that if they denied anybody the right to buy a gun, that I would arrest them as well and confiscate their entire firearms inventory and have a sheriff's sale to deserving persons in our community. And don't even think about forcing these people to be humiliated and denigrated by being forced to suffer an unconstitutional and thereby illegal background check just to prove they're worthy to exercise rights that came from God to begin with. And I can promise you that if my deputies were too cowardly to enforce the laws that made this nation great, then I'd find deputies who would. And I know for a fact that these people exist right here in Douglas County, and they'd jump for a chance like this. If I were the sheriff of Douglas County, I'd put the federal government on notice. I'd tell the federal marshals and DHS that they won't be arresting anybody in our county unless they clear it with me personally, as they have no territorial jurisdiction here in our county to begin with, except for the federal courthouse and federal office buildings, but that's where it ends. And God help any federal judge who signed and authorized a federal search warrant to be executed in this county without my knowledge and permission. God help him. I'd have him arrested, stripped naked, and given a blanket and put him in the worst smelling cell we've got in this county. I promise you on my oath of office that he'd learn what the penalty for treason was, and I'd do everything in my power to make sure he paid the full price for his treachery while he was in jail, just like he forced so many others to suffer during his tenure as a judge. Ladies and gentlemen, if I were the sheriff of Douglas County, I'd promise anyone whom my department arrested one small luxury. I'd give each one a copy of the Citizens Rule Book so they could study the documents that made our nation great. Besides, they wouldn't have anything else to do, so why not? I think it's time that people learn the truth, especially the cops. Don't you? I think it's about time that freedom was restored to Douglas County. First here, then the rest of the state of Nebraska. Then, well, I guess the rest is up to you. If I were the sheriff of Douglas County, I'd have a few words for our current sheriff, Mr. Tim Dunning. I'd tell him quite simply that I've actually always liked him. Fact is, I've kind of looked up to him. Not anymore. Not when I know certain people personally, like my friend, well, I don't want to use his real name, so here, let's just call him Joe. That's a good name. Joe desperately needs the sheriff's department's help, and Tim's refused. He's refused to intervene and stop an illegal garnishment of Joe's wages by people who have neither a claim nor a court order of any kind, which is illegal by any standard, much less the laws of the state of Nebraska. I would further tell my old friend Tim Dunning that such actions constitute dereliction of duty and a breach of trust against the very people of this county that he's sworn to serve and protect. And I would strongly suggest right now that he remedy this matter as quickly as possible before I actually run for his position, get elected, and do it myself. Friends, if I were the sheriff of Douglas County, there wouldn't be any more speed traps. You can't tell me that by writing people tickets for $200 and $300 that it promotes safety. But it does, however, make for a wonderful gold mining operation to line the pockets of a hungry police department that knows neither honor nor respect for its citizens. Furthermore, I'd put an end to these illegal DUI checkpoints and restore the Fifth Amendment in all of its glory. Don't you understand it's unconstitutional and thereby illegal for a cop to force anyone to take a breathalyzer test under threat of license suspension if they don't? Go back and read the Fifth Amendment and see what it says. Find out for yourself. Don't you wish cops would stand up for your rights for a change instead of invent ways to take them away from you? When are you going to stand up as a people and say enough is enough? Get your grubby paws off our rights. Ladies and gentlemen, if I were the sheriff of Douglas County, I can promise you that I would do everything within my power to work behind the scenes to promote and reinstate freedom, liberty, and justice for all, right where it matters most, right here at home. This, I promise you, I would gladly do for my family just as well as yours. Don't our children deserve to know the freedom that this nation is required to provide? Or would you rather have the police brutality, corruption, and outright cruelty that's forced down their throats every day? What would you rather have? And I do solemnly swear that as elected sheriff of Douglas County, I will put a stop to such nonsense and destruction of the people's dignity and desecration of our children's integrity, so help me God. Now I ask you, the citizens of Douglas County, Nebraska, do you want to return to the rule of constitutional law? Do you want the police and government powers to get their noses out of your business and leave you alone so you can enjoy your life with your family? Would you like to live with the assurance that your sheriff's department is willing to defend your rights as well as protect them? Think about that. Think long and hard on that, my friends, because if I decide to run for sheriff here in Douglas County, then that's exactly the choice that you're going to get to make, and I've got support in 48 of the 50 states already. In closing, I want to ask you as a free American and a strong Nebraskan, if I run for sheriff in Douglas County, will you stand with me? Will you help me put an end to decades of progressive tyranny and corruption? Remember, folks, only you can help restore freedom. Only you can make a difference, and it can start with me. It's all up to you. Think about it. Thank you for your time, and God bless you and your family, and God bless America.